All right, here we go with another basic, very elementary job. There's really not much I can tell you about this job, maybe a few tips and tricks. Other than that, it's pretty simple. While you weren't looking, I went ahead and wire brushed my pumpkin pretty much all the way around. And I went ahead and do some deep creep at all my little bolts that hold that cover on. But before we take any bolts off, let me show you the first thing you should do, and this is the first tip I can give you. You see that little plug right there? That is how you're going to be able to fill up your differential once you've drained it. Step one is going to be to make sure you can get that loose. If that's jammed and you drain all your fluid, well, you're jammed, all right? That's pretty easy. You can actually just take a 3/8 inch ratchet, and that should fit right in there. I use a little extension, and mine popped right loose, but check that first. If that's good, like mine is, let's move it back around to the cover. My tip here is to go ahead and just loosen these, crack them loose by hand. Don't go using some sort of an impact driver on those right away. Make sure they're going to crack loose. My second tip is leave that top one in. It's just going to keep that plate there when we pop it open and let that fluid drain out. By the way, while I'm down here, this work I just did, I don't know if anybody noticed yet, but I'm going to end up doing that all over again. And the reason is because look at that. That's a broken spring right there inside my spring pack. So I'm going to save that for the spring, probably. I don't know. We'll see. I'll just drive it easy for a little while. It sucks because that's part of my main spring. I'm probably not going to get a used spring pack for this. I'm probably just going to buy a brand new one. That's why I'm holding off on that. Because even if you get a used one, it's probably sat just as long with all the weight of the vehicle on it as this one did. And the other reason is because back here, where these things hook up on the shackles there, there's bushings in there, and those things are a bear to get out, and it's a ton of work that's needless when you can just buy a whole new spring pack with the bushings already in it, and it'll be good to go. It'll be fresh. Your truck will ride at the height it's supposed to. So that's just a little side note. I'll be taking care of that probably in the spring. For now, I just want to get this thing roadworthy for my local drives. I just want to be able to take my leaves and sticks and stuff down to the city and dump them off here in the fall, and that's all I really need this truck for right now. I have plenty of other vehicles, but that is an issue. You don't want to go flying down the highway or going off-roading with that. All right, so back to the pumpkin. Let's go ahead and snap some of these loose. All right, got my drain pan situated, and you got your basic 9/16. I'm using a 1/2 inch drive for this. I don't expect too many problems. Nope, no problem. I'm just going to snap these all loose all the way around. I wire brush this thing just so when I take this off I won't have a bunch of that loose rust falling in it. And I'm going to pretty it up a little before we put it back together. I just don't want any of that junk falling in there. So far these have all snapped pretty simply. Knock on wood. All right, they're all loose. I'm just going to take that socket and throw it on an impact to make things speedy. Now some of these are a little bit of a different length, so if you want to keep them in order, or if you just want to keep them in order because you want the threads to go back where they live their whole life, you do that. Funny, I don't see any yet, but I can already smell that gear oil. It's got its own special smell. There it goes. Let the dripping begin. And you can see that bolt's a little longer than the other ones. That bolt's a little bit longer than the others, but a little shorter than the one I just took out. So like I said, you're going to want to Keep some of those in order. The rest of them are pretty much the same size, but I do like to put things in a certain order. All right, I'm just going to let that drool for a little while before I pop it all the way open. All right, you're going to want to put your hand under here, boink, get that little bushing out of there, little washer, whatever you want to call it. All right, you don't want stuff falling in your big old oil bucket there. I'm just going to kind of tuck this up and out of the way a little bit. That's still drooling a little. Not much though, so I'm going to go ahead and take that last bolt out. I can probably do that by hand. There we go. And off we go. I'll let that drool a little more. Now what I'm going to do is take a look around inside here and make sure I'm not seeing a whole ton of metal shavings. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything concerning. All right, so what we're going to want to do is kind of wipe that down. You're going to want to reach inside there, throw on a glove, and just kind of scoop out as much of that old stuff as you can. All right, just going to reach right in there with my little digits as far as I can. Try to pull some more of that out of there. There's a magnet in here on the bottom. That should collect up any shavings. There's always going to be some. It's metal. But it shouldn't be loaded. You shouldn't be seeing chunks. So this didn't have any kind of gasket sealer on it. This looks all original here. So I'm assuming this probably hasn't had its gear oil change since it was in the service. Alright, there goes that. We'll just throw that over here for now so it doesn't get things all mucked up, and try to scoop some more of this out. Doesn't have to be completely cleaned out, but the more you get out, the less that dirty stuff's going to mix with the brand new stuff, right? Now, this thing, again, it's obvious that it hasn't been touched in a while. You can see I get a lot of crud. Look at this. All right, same stuff that was inside my on my spindle when I did the brakes. So if the seal leaks one way, letting the grease out, and it's leaking the other way, letting some of the crud in, it's just age. So we're going to clean that up. I'm going to use some brake cleaner in here, get this all sprayed out nice. All right, I won't make you watch the whole process here, but just clean that stuff out. I also don't want to get my camera covered in this, but you get the idea. A little bit of brake cleaner, clean this up the best you can, let it drip into your little pan there, and then we'll continue on. Good to go. You're going to find most of your sludge is on the case, on these little bearing caps here. You know, there's not a lot in the middle, at least not for me. So next, the old Scotch-Brite pad, we're just going to clean that edge up. Alrighty, I have that surface cleaned up pretty good. I used the wire wheel, Scotch-Brite, and now it's time to throw a gasket on it. Here is the gasket. Here is your part number. That's a Felpro RDS 55063. Now, this pumpkin is of age, and so as much as I tried to clean it, you can see I have some pitting up here. You can see down here where it like rust or something. So I'm not just going to put a gasket in by itself. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and throw some of this Ultra Red from Permatex in there. That's high temp gasket maker. And I'm just going to put a light coating on there to fill in those gaps. And it's going to help this gasket stay on. Makes life a little easier. And I'll let that set up while I take care of this big mess with the cover. All right, there we go. Nice thin layer. I just put that on with my finger. And then we're going to go ahead and place that gasket on there nicely. Line everything up. All right, that looks good. And I'm going to throw just a couple of these in to hold it in place for now. Just make sure everything's going to be lined up. All right, that seems pretty good. Good enough. Let that set up, tack up a little bit while I go take care of the cover. All right, I got my cover all cleaned up. And while I was doing that, I put the Permatex on this side of that gasket and gave it a minute to tack up. And now it's time to put it back together. Got my top bolt ready to go. I don't want to move this around too much, so I'm hoping to get it on pretty close the first time. All right, top bolt is in. Start throwing some of these other guys in just to make sure it's on there straight. All right, I'm not going to crank these down. I'm just going to put them on. That's it. Nice and easy. Alright, now we're going to put this guy back on. A little spacer in there. Long bolt goes through the spacer. Try to do this without scratching anything. Second to the longest bolt right here. Let's just send those in, but I'm not torquing them. Okay, I'm going to torque these down to 35 foot-pounds. Alright, I'm going to do these in something of a star pattern. There is a torque sequence out there somewhere, but I'm going to start with 10 foot-pounds. There we go. And just go around and bring it all the way up to 35. And you don't need to watch the whole thing. I'll let you know when I'm done. And with that, they're all at 35. Time to fill her up. There is your plug for your gear oil to go in your diff. Now, all you really need for that, I mean, you can get a little piece that fits it, little chuck if you want, but a 3/8 ratchet actually fits right in there. And like I said, I already got mine loosened up before I even started this. That's going to need to be cleaned off, but it's good to go. Now, here's where I give you another one of them tips. And that tip is, get these bags. You don't want to try to fill this thing up using a funnel. I mean, if you got a gear oil pump, hey, more power to you. But these bags are just going to make your life a lot easier. You can just poke it right in there and start filling it up. It's the easiest way to do this. Snip the top off of that puppy. Oh, come on now. And here we go. That's the 7590. 75W90. Look how easy. A lot of guys will actually save these bags and refill them with gear oil so they can just use the bag. Just the easy way to go. Got a little rambunctious there. Alright, there goes one. Alright, I'm going to do the other one. When I get close to full, I will let you know. Alright, here goes my third quart. Just opened it, and I'm just going to eke that in there a little bit, and then I'm going to check it. It feels like maybe close to about a half, a little less. Alright, just going to poke the old finger in there and feel. Nope, I don't feel it yet. I'll throw some more in. Not yet. I'm feeling it now. So that is good to go. We don't need to put any more in there. I put my finger in there and I could feel it. Done. And that was approximately half of one of these. Throw my little plug back in there. Of course I cleaned that little hole up. Come on, don't mess around, just get in there. Okay. Throw a little something at it with your hand ratchet. Right now we're going to use the Torquinator and we're going to put that up to 18 foot-pounds. There it is, 18. Good to go. Mission accomplished. So that's it. We're done. The front differential is exactly the same as the rear one as far as the process. That's a 10 bolt Dana 60 up front. I'm going to do that, but actually I'm going to go get something to eat. And then I'll do that. You don't need to see it because you'd just be seeing it again basically. And then I'm going to come out and do the next job, which I think you'll enjoy. It's how to completely flush your brakes by yourself the speediest way possible. So that'll be the next video coming out. Well, I have a little mess to clean up now before I go eat. I like to clean up in between jobs. But as always, I appreciate you guys watching my videos, and I'll see you soon for the next one.